it's storytelling time. Hello, boys. Hello, girls. Hello, everyone. It's storytelling time. Welcome to Tell Me a Story with Librarian Jeannie. That's me. I'm Librarian Jeannie from the Santa Cruz Public Libraries. Now, we're right in the middle of summer reading right now, and I hope you're all reading, but you can also tell stories. Tell stories to yourself, to your parents, to your brothers and sisters, to everybody who's around, and maybe they'll tell you some stories too. That's a lot of fun to learn about this. Now, tonight, I'm going to tell you a tall tale. And I think that goes right along with our summer reading theme, Imagine Your Story. But let's get back to a tall tale. What do you think a tall tale is? Well, it's a regular story. It has characters, and it has a setting, and it has plot, just like all the other stories. But it also has hyperbole. That's a big word for outrageous exaggeration. Now, everything in it could maybe happen, but it's exaggerated. It's made bigger and better and louder and taller. So today's story is called Paul Bunyan and His Blue Ox Babe. Now, Paul Bunyan was born in Maine quite a while ago, the state of Maine. And when he was born, he was a very large baby. He grew so fast. He just kept growing and growing and growing. It took the whole town to take care of him. They had to get extra cows in to get milk for him. And they had to they had to use sheets for diapers. He was so big. He was a really big baby. And by the time he was about a year old, he was even taller than his father. That's an exaggeration, I bet. Anyway, he was so big that when they built an extra big cradle for him, and when he was in it, and he slept in it like any baby would sleep in their cradle, but every time he turned over in his sleep, there was an earthquake. It was pretty tough. But Paul, not only did he grow fast and grow big, he matured fast too. And when he was a little boy, a big little boy, he went out. His father was a lumberjack, and he went out into the woods with his father, and they cut down trees, and they brought them to the sawmill, and they got them all ready for firewood and for building. And soon, they had cut down all the trees in the area, and the whole town had enough wood to last them a couple decades. That's like 20 years. And so Paul, he was bored. He needed something to do. He loved to do that work. So he decided to head west and work as a lumberjack. And he got to a place called Orion River Camp, which is in Minnesota, and he fell right in with this lumberjacks there. And there were lots and lots of them. They were all big men, and they cut down trees, and they used them, and they, worked really hard. And they had a cook in that camp who only cooked with sourdough. And every morning he made pancakes for the whole team. Well, these pancakes were so big that just one pancake, could feed 5 lumberjacks. Can you imagine? Even I can eat more than one pancake, but these were huge pancakes. Well, 5 ordinary lumberjacks could eat shared one pancake. Paul was so big and had such a big appetite that he ate 10 pancakes at every breakfast. And he grew, and he grew, and he was strong, And he was tall and he was mighty, but he was a nice man. And he kept on cutting down trees. And they worked and they worked and they worked. And, you know, Minnesota has cold winters. One winter, it was so cold that even the whole, in the storm, everything turned blue. The snow and the ice were blue. And it was a big, heavy, heavy storm. And Paul happened to be out in it and he heard a noise. Couldn't exactly tell what it was, but he wondered about it and he thought it might be something that he should take care of. And he went and he looked, he followed the sound, and he came to an ox, a blue ox, buried in the snow. And it was the blue snow, so it was really hard to see this ox. But Paul picked him up, and the ox was so cold that he was stiff. He couldn't move his legs. But Paul picked him up and took him inside and put him by the fire. And the ox got warm, and he gradually could move his legs, and he could move around. He was very happy to be warm again. And the but he never turned to color back. He stayed blue for the rest of his life. Paul really liked this blue ox, and he named him Babe, and they were best friends, and they worked together. And so they decided, since the lumberjacks in that camp had cut down almost all the trees, Babe and Paul decided that they would continue west, and they would work their way west in the other parts of the United States. And they always knew they could get a job. They could always cut down trees and make firewood and lumber for people to build houses. So they kept going, and they left in the middle of winter, and they walked and they walked and they walked and they walked. And finally it became spring again, and the land dried out. But when they looked back, all of their footsteps, all the way from the lumberjack camp to where they were, had filled it in and with water, and they were lakes now. And that's why Minnesota is called the land of 10,000 lakes. Now, I can believe that they probably made 10,000 steps. They probably made more than that. But each footstep, each footprint filled up and made a lake. So they kept on going. They kept on going. They were happy together. And they just continued on west. And as they continued, they cut down forests for fuel and lumber. And they kept on doing that. And the rumor has it that sometimes Babe helped Paul straighten out the road. He was so strong that if the road was crooked and it went along beside a river or a stream, Babe could pull on one end and Paul could hold on to the other end, and the road would just get straight all the way across the United States. So they kept on going, and they kept on cutting down trees, and they got to North and South Dakota. And now, I don't know how, before they got there, it had lots of forests, but now it's pretty flat and pretty barren. And they say that that's why they're called the Black Hills in North and South Dakota. Maybe just a rumor, but I'm not sure. Anyway, there's another rumor. They made it all the way to the West Coast. And you know what? There's even a memorial to them out here in California. If you go to Northern California, there's a place where there is a 40-foot tall, life-size statue of Paul Bunyan and a 35-foot tall, life-size statue of his blue ox Babe. Now, do you believe that? It's a tall tale. I've seen the ox and I've seen the Paul Bunyan statue. I'm here to tell you they're there. Now, I don't know if they're true or not, if they're really life-size. Maybe they're just a little bit larger than life. What do you think? I think that you all could write your own tall tales. Think about something that you like or you want to explain, and explain it by exaggerating, by making it bigger and better and more fun. So that's all for today's story of Paul Bunyan and his blue ox babe. Now, let's sing our goodnight song, and I'll see you next week, or in 2 weeks. Next week, there'll be bedtime stories with Librarian Jackie. So, good night, girls. Good night, boys. Good night, everyone. I'm going to leave you now. Merrily we roll along, roll along, roll along. Merrily we roll along, we are off to bed. Farewell, girls, farewell, boys, farewell, everyone. I'm going to leave you now. Merrily we roll along, roll along, roll along. Merrily we roll along, we are off to bed. Sweet dreams, boys, sweet dreams, girls, sweet dreams, everyone, we are off to bed. Merrily we roll along, roll along, roll along. Merrily we roll along, we are off to bed. Good night, everyone. I hope you tune in again next week for Bedtime Stories with Librarian Jackie. Remember to keep reading, keep telling stories, and have fun with it. And remember, summer reading's still going on at the library. You can go to www.santacruzpl.org to find out about more programs, about our summer reading program, Imagine Your Story, and about all the fun things that are happening at the library this summer. Good night. Sweet dreams.